Over 16,800 people canceled their FIFA World Cup tickets over the last 48 hours.
The FIFA organization had to call in an emergency meeting because more than 16,000 fans have canceled their tickets. They're scuffling to try to sell tickets now.
I mean, don't come here, you know. They're having the World Cup here, don't come. Boycott it.
Honestly, I think the World Cup is a joke. I think FIFA giving Donald Trump a big rosette and a peace prize has undermined everything that football's about.
Calling for a boycott of the tournament. And this is not just talk. People are actually cancelling tickets they already paid for. In early January 2026, reports emerged that approximately 16,800 fans had processed refunds and walked away from the World Cup.
The FIFA organization had to call in an emergency meeting because more than 16,000 fans have canceled their tickets. They're scuffling to try to sell tickets now. Baby, to those more than 16,000 fans, baby, y'all made the right decision.
FIFA received 500 million ticket requests, which sounds impressive until you realize that requests are free, but cancellations cost money, and the cancellations keep climbing. Activists tracking the movement say the number is growing every week as concerns over safety and immigration policy spread across social media platforms. So why are fans canceling? The answer comes down to one major issue: US travel restrictions under the Trump administration. In late 2025 and early 2026, the government expanded travel bans to 39 countries, most of them in Africa and the Middle East. Here is where it gets problematic for FIFA. 4 qualified World Cup nations are on that banned list: Haiti, Iran, Senegal, and Ivory Coast. Their teams can enter the United States and play their matches, but their supporters cannot legally travel to watch them. Tourist visas from those countries are effectively banned unless they were issued before mid-2025, which locks out the vast majority of fans who wanted to attend. Think about what this means. Haiti qualified for the World Cup for the first time in over 50 years.
It's over! Haiti have got the news! It's a moment 50 plus years in the making!
Which is a massive achievement for a small nation. Senegal brought thousands of drumming, chanting supporters to Qatar in 2022 and created some of the best atmosphere of that entire tournament. Iran has competed in every World Cup since 1998. Ivory Coast just won the Africa Cup of Nations and is one of the continent's strongest teams. All 4 nations will play their matches in stadiums where their own fans are legally prohibited from sitting. That is not a minor inconvenience. That is a structural exclusion of entire nations from a tournament that markets itself as a global celebration. But the visa bans are only part of why fans are scared. What has turned frustration into a full boycott movement is fear of what happens once you actually get inside the United States. Videos circulating online show immigration and customs enforcement agents conducting raids in public spaces, sometimes near sporting venues. Multiple credible reports document visitors from countries like Australia, Mexico, and the United Kingdom being detained at airports for hours, questioned aggressively, and in some cases deported without clear explanations ever being provided. Then, on January 9, 2026, something happened that made those fears feel very real. An ICE operation in Minneapolis ended with agents shooting and killing an unarmed woman. The death was not directly related to the World Cup, but it did not matter. For international fans watching the news, the message was clear. Enforcement operations in the United States can turn deadly, and if you are a foreign visitor, you could be caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Within 24 hours of that shooting, a Lebanese-Australian activist with over 3 million social media followers posted that he was cancelling his World Cup tickets because ICE could detain him indefinitely without charges, without trial, and without access to a lawyer. His statement was blunt and it was frightening, and it resonated. The post was shared tens of thousands of times within hours, and it became a flashpoint for people who had been quietly worried but had not yet acted. The hashtag Boycott World Cup started trending globally within days. Someone created a website specifically for organizing the boycott. Over 3,000 people signed a petition demanding that FIFA and the International PAR and the United States from hosting major international sporting events, citing what they called systematic human rights violations. The petition specifically mentioned masked agents conducting raids and denying people legal representation. The language was harsh, but the people signing it were not fringe activists. They were ordinary fans from dozens of countries who had decided they were not willing to risk traveling to America. And it is not just anonymous people on social media. Official supporter groups are pulling out. England's LGBTQ+ fan organization announced publicly that they would not be attending the tournament because they do not feel safe. A well-known Danish supporter told reporters he genuinely does not think many Danish fans will travel to the United States.
My feeling is boycott it.
Really?
Honestly, I think the World Cup is a joke. I think FIFA giving Donald Trump a big rosette and a peace prize has undermined everything that football's about. I think the fact that it's being played in a country that's threatening not to give visas to the players, to the staff, to the fans, I think it's ridiculous. I think it's a complete embarrassment.
Though some might attend the 2 matches scheduled in Mexico. Similar conversations are happening in supporter forums across Germany, Spain, Brazil, and multiple African nations. These are not random individuals. These are organized groups that normally coordinate travel for hundreds or thousands of fans. FIFA has tried to push back against the narrative. On January 15, 2026, the organization released a statement calling reports of mass cancellations false and insisting that global demand remained at record levels. President Gianni Infantino appeared alongside President Trump back in November 2025 to announce something called the FIFA Pass program, which is supposed to fast-track visa appointments for ticket holders. The program deployed over 400 additional consular officers to US embassies around the world to speed up processing. Trump himself has repeatedly insisted his administration is doing everything possible to make the tournament a success, and he keeps pointing to ticket request numbers as proof that demand is strong. But here is the disconnect. FIFA keeps talking about ticket requests, which are free and non-binding. Anyone can request tickets without ever intending to buy them. What matters is actual purchases and whether people who already bought tickets are keeping them or cancelling them. And the evidence suggests cancellations are happening at a scale FIFA does not want to publicly acknowledge. There is also the issue of Trump's own rhetoric making things worse. In late December 2025, he publicly stated that he wanted to permanently pause immigration from what he described as poor countries, and he specifically singled out Afghans and Somalis in negative terms. On January 3, 2026, the US military launched a raid inside Venezuela trying to capture President Nicolas Maduro, which shocked even America's allies and raised serious questions about whether the United States respects international norms. Then, on January 9th, the same day as the Minneapolis shooting, Trump threatened to start hitting land in Mexico to go after drug cartels. That threat was particularly alarming because Mexico is literally a co-host of the tournament and will be staging multiple World Cup matches. So you have a situation where FIFA is marketing the World Cup as the ultimate expression of global unity, conducting aggressive immigration enforcement that has resulted in at least 1 death, and threatening military action against a country that is co-hosting the event. Those realities do not fit together, and fans have noticed. Critics have also pointed out that FIFA applies its rules very selectively. In 2022, after Russia invaded Ukraine, FIFA moved incredibly fast to ban Russia from all competitions and strip the country of any future hosting rights. But when activists asked FIFA to take similar action against the United States over immigration policies, the organization said it does not get involved in geopolitics. The inconsistency has not gone unnoticed. So what happens if this boycott actually grows? The economic stakes are massive. The United States is projecting $17.2 billion in GDP impact from this tournament. Host cities have spent billions upgrading infrastructure and stadiums. Major sponsors like Coca-Cola, Adidas, and Visa paid hundreds of millions of dollars for the right to associate their brands with the event. Broadcasters committed billions for exclusive media rights. All of that value depends on one thing: stadiums being full and the atmosphere being electric. Empty seats at a World Cup are not just bad for television optics, they undermine the entire business model. Sponsors are paying for exposure to a massive global audience. If stadiums are half empty, if sections where banned countries' fans should be sitting remain vacant, if the energy feels flat, the value of those sponsorships drops. Broadcasters are paying for spectacle. If the tournament feels diminished or overshadowed by controversy, that changes what they paid for. And while sponsors and broadcasters are unlikely to pull out at this stage, they will absolutely remember this when negotiating future deals. But there is something bigger at play here, beyond just money. For decades, FIFA has operated as if it is essentially untouchable, as if it can award World Cups based on backroom deals, and the public will show up no matter what, because people love football too much to stay away. And historically, that has been true. Argentina hosted in 1978, while a military junta was disappearing thousands of people. Russia hosted in 2018, despite international outrage over Crimea. Qatar hosted in 2022 amid years of criticism over migrant worker deaths and LGBTQ rights. In every case, fans complained, activists protested, but the tournaments went ahead with full stadiums and FIFA faced no real consequences. What makes 2026 different is that this boycott is decentralized. It is not being driven by a single organization that FIFA can negotiate with or try to neutralize. It is being driven by thousands of individual fans making personal safety decisions and then amplifying each other's concerns through social media. A single viral post from someone with 3 million followers can reach tens of millions of people within hours. Fans coordinate across borders without needing any formal leadership. That makes the movement incredibly difficult to stop because there is no central authority to pressure or discredit. And here is what makes this particularly challenging for FIFA. The organization cannot actually fix the problem. FIFA does not control US immigration policy. FIFA cannot stop ICE from conducting raids. FIFA cannot make Trump change his rhetoric or his enforcement priorities. All FIFA can do is try to convince people that despite everything they are seeing in the news, the tournament will be safe and welcoming. But when fans from 4 qualified countries are banned outright, when enforcement operations continue making headlines, when threatening statements keep coming from the US president, that reassurance rings hollow. There is also the question of what happens to the tournament experience itself. The World Cup is not just about what happens on the pitch. A huge part of what makes it special is the atmosphere created when fans from dozens of countries converge in one place with their flags, their songs, their colors, creating this incredible energy and cultural exchange. If you strip that away, if stadiums have empty sections where Senegalese or Haitian or Iranian supporters should be, if the tournament feels quieter and less diverse, it diminishes the event in ways that go beyond attendance numbers. So is this a temporary backlash that will fade, or is this the beginning of something bigger? Because what is happening right now is fans realizing they have power. They can cancel tickets, they can organize boycotts, they can use social media to coordinate across borders. They can force FIFA, an organization that historically operates with almost zero public accountability, to at least acknowledge that fan sentiment matters. And once fans realize they have that power, it becomes easier to use it again. If this boycott fails, if stadiums end up full despite all the controversy, FIFA will conclude that fan anger is loud but ultimately toothless. But if the boycott succeeds even partially, if attendance drops noticeably, if economic projections fall short, if the tournament feels diminished in ways sponsors and broadcasters cannot ignore, then FIFA will have to reckon with a new reality. The people who fill the stadiums are no longer guaranteed to show up, and ignoring their concerns carries real costs. 4 months remain before kickoff on June 11, 2026. Thousands have already cancelled. Fan groups continue debating whether to attend. The Trump administration shows no signs of changing its immigration policies or enforcement approach. FIFA insists everything is fine. The tournament will happen. Matches will be played. Someone will lift the trophy. But the real question is not whether the World Cup happens. The question is what it looks like when it does, and whether FIFA is prepared for what comes next if fans decide they have had enough.